Last week I predicted at least a 20% fall in residential values, commercial values falling back to at least 2012 levels, and actually a 50% reduction in residential site valuations. Was I too harsh? Well, after the weekend I actually think maybe I wasn't harsh enough. This is going to be a short video to let you know what it's like around Dublin City at the moment, as well as recapping on some predictions I made on property prices last week. But before I get into this, maybe you give the video a like and subscribe to the channel too. I took a walk around Dublin City at the weekend, and before you start all giving me crap about it, it's inside my 2 kilometre radius. But the first thing that surprised me was actually the amount of large families on bikes going around the Grafton Street area. I'm not quite sure that many large families actually live that close to Grafton Street, but I could be wrong. The other thing that surprised me was the amount of coffee shops and ice cream parlours that were open, and the concerning thing was that the staff weren't wearing masks. I'm not going to get into this here or get into lockdown in this video, but I think we have a long way to go before we get a handle and control on this virus. I passed by a number of development sites. Majority of them were office developments, and lucky enough most of them are being funded by pension funds, which hopefully will be able to fund them into the future and fund them into completion, so we're not looking at holes in the ground or unfinished structures for too long, unlike in 2008 where we're still looking at some of the unfinished structures that were left over from the Celtic Tiger. Lucky enough, some of these major developments are actually subleased to international firms such as Amazon and LinkedIn, and they won't be holes in the ground for too much longer. Walking around the empty streets and looking at all the empty offices, I was pondering how long it will be till all these offices are full again. The 5th of May will not be the end of government restrictions, and some restrictions will remain for the foreseeable future. However, even when government restrictions do end, some major international companies have already come out and stated that they will not be opening up their offices to full occupancy levels until June 2021. And they'll run an office at 50% occupancy rate until a vaccine is found. These decisions are being made at a global level, but will have implications on every single country around the world. This will have a huge impact on the global office market, and Ireland will be affected too. Companies such as WeWork have already had a hard time over the last year or two. This is going to have a major impact on their business model as well, unless companies decide that they are going to have to increase their overall footprint rather than being cramped in tight office spaces, that they'll have to take additional space to make it safer for people to return to the office. Even though there was actually a few people in town at the weekend, it's going to be years, maybe 2 to 3 years before normal footfall returns to high street retail locations. The reduced footfall and growth in online sales is going to cause a retail apocalypse here in Ireland, something that has actually been seen in the last 10 years in the US and UK market. Our one saving grace here in Ireland in regards to retail is that we really haven't built any retail developments over the last 12 years. So hopefully there is some light at the end of all of this for Irish retailers and retail investors as well. Going around town at the weekend, it was hard not to notice the number of pubs and shops that were boarded up. And I'm sorry to say this, but I can't see them coming down anytime soon in some locations. And they will become a feature of our towns and villages and high streets for the next number of years. I heard over the weekend that a number of universities here in Dublin are considering not taking on any new international students next year. For any of you who think that's not a big deal, it's important to know the numbers behind this. For the last few years, there's been nearly 14,000 new international higher level students coming into Ireland for every year for the last few years. That's a big number. That's going to have a massive impact on the residential lettings market. It's also going to have a big impact on the actual local economies for these universities as well, where we're missing these students. I'm actually still pretty shocked to see that there's some financial advisors out there still advising that no one can advise on what way prices will go in terms of up or down for property. I can tell you right now, property prices are going down. I've already seen sale agreed prices drop by, in some cases, 10%, and I'm already now seeing asking prices drop. Some as much as 10%, and actually a great source for the public is Crazy House Prices on Instagram. It's a very funny page and actually a good source of information if you're looking at property prices. I'll put a link in the comments below. But some of the ones that they've popped up already seeing price reductions of 10%. Also agents, I presume agents will be going through their databases as well as using resources like IPPI to see what is actually happening to asking prices. I quickly looked and I can see that asking prices in the last 30 days in some areas have dropped 5, 6 and 7%. If we have a continued trend like that over the next few months, it's really not hard to see at least a 20% drop, if not more, in asking prices over the next year. It's not all negative out there. Supply will be limited, interest rates are low, which will mean that demand will stay high, and this will help prices not to fall too far. Finding the real value out there is actually the skill, and who knows, the end of 2020 could actually be a good time to buy an investment property. And if you are thinking on those lines, now is the time you should be doing your research and also learning as well. And use this opportunity to learn about investment properties and to do your research before you buy. I'm always happy to share my insights, so feel free to reach out to me. Sometimes the best way to get me is a DM on Instagram. I will leave a link below. As always, thanks for watching, keep safe, invest wisely, and don't forget to give this video a like.